Thanks everyone for joining this talk. Me and Marco, we already went through these slides a few times already, so we know the drill. Happy to be here for this special event, Soft Skills Summit at DroidCon, and we're going to talk about remote, about the fact that remote is here, and now we need to get used to it, for better or worse. Now, a couple of words about us first. Me personally, I'm John. I'm the founder and CEO of Uniware, a company. I'm going to talk about it in a moment. You can find me on Twitter at John Segato. I usually tweet about stuff in general, building things. So I'm more than happy if you reach out there. My DMs are open. Well, Marco, the stage is yours.
I'm Marco, and I'm the tech lead at Uniware, and you can follow me on Twitter. I speak as well about stuff in the technical stuff, and I have also a blog where I write again about technical stuff, but more in depth rather than Twitter. But if you follow me on Twitter, you will catch up with everything.
Yeah, and we wanted to do this presentation together because when you talk about remote, you are talking about two things really. One, let's say the point of view of the organization, the startup, the company, and the other one is the point of view of the employee, of the team member. And you cannot really talk about remote without having both points of views. So that's why we wanted to discuss about this topic together, me and Marco, in order to basically enrich the conversation about both points of view. Now, Uniware is a college management app, and what, let's say, is worth mentioning here in this context is that we are working on basically 4 different time zones, several different cities, but we have people across all over the globe, and managing a remote team, a remote first team, has been a challenge. We've been doing this for a few years at this point. We started in September of 2019 with this, let's say, truly remote first setup. And when COVID hit in February, March of last year, we already were prepared. So luckily for us, this hasn't impacted our, let's say, organizations. And we have some tips to share. Because, this is Marco's office. And if he's doing so, I think, or two, right?
Yeah, well, it's a small office with a big screen to get everything in one end. That's it. A few gear to stay focused.
So you can tell a lot about our internal culture, because Marco, that should be, supposedly the employee has this office, while me, that supposedly I'm the CEO, I have this office. So, when this is the case, you know that something is very good happening for employees, right? So I cannot really say that this is an office, but it is what it is. Remote has pros and cons, right? To discuss about them. Because at the end of the day, there's no way around it. Remote working is here, and it's here to stay. Now, let me show you why. It's already been a year at this point, and you know that companies are not going back 100% to the way things were before 2020. So we have the big guys, of course, but we can also observe this trend at let's say, a macro level, looking at rents and fulfillment of housing. So everywhere people they want remote more, both companies and people. And why is that the case? Well, we have basically 2 camps. We have the camp that is saying, I miss people, and they really want to go back, and they are not allowed to do so because nobody is vaccinated yet. And then you have the second camp that is, I don't want to go back, please allow me to stay home forever and ever. Now, of course, this is personal. There's no way that there's one single, let's say, truth. But at the same time, there are some powerful characteristics that remote working has that are objective. They are absolutely truthful, and that can be leveraged because at the end of the day, they are positive. So this is usually the case of J-curve. Economists love to say that this is a J-curve kind of phenomenon, where you have to go through, let's say, a painful investment phase, in order to see the benefits of remote working down the line. Now, enough theory, let's talk about that. What are these truths? First, that synchronized work harms productivity. Now, you know what happens. You are at the office, you have your colleague that goes to your desk and says, look, do you want to do a break? Do you want to have a coffee together? And you maybe are into flow and you don't want to interrupt your work. So async work in a remote context is extremely and extremely powerful. And you have this kind of agenda in front of you, full focus work, which is very good. Secondly, control is an illusion. Everyone that says, I don't want to go remote because I cannot control my employees, they're living like in the 20th century. True talent doesn't want to be constrained, and therefore controlling them is counterproductive. Thirdly, hiring is easier for both, let's say, employees and employers, because you can hire whomever you want in the world on one side, and as an employee, you can go wherever you want. You live in the north of Italy, like Marco, for instance, and you can work for a Berlin-based startup. And same for the other way around. You're a Berlin-based startup and you can hire in Italy. And finally, well, people want it. And there's no, let's say, hiding behind it. People want to work remotely. Now, the question is, though, why? Why do they want that? And that's the, let's say, hint for Marco to tell his point of view. You represent the employee. Now, why do you want to work remotely, and what are the benefits, and what are the, let's say, pros about that?
Yes, so I'm gonna share my screen first. So
yeah, we have you.
Yes, put full screen, and I should be ready to go. Okay, so the first thing, like John said before, is that by going remotely, you can work from all over the world. You can work for a company based in another country, while staying at your country home, or you can even embrace the full nomad digital life, and you can go. You can still work for a company located somewhere, and then move around the world and live, for example, for a month in a specific city, another month in another, and move around the world. The second, another interesting thing about being remote is the fact that you can work when you are productive. And so, for example, if your brain doesn't properly work until 10 a.m. in the morning, you can move your schedule a bit and then start later in the morning and end before, and then finish later on the afternoon. But of course, this has some caveat, because you cannot work all night long and while your colleagues are working all during the day, because we are in a team. We have to be a team member and not a solo worker, and so we have the possibility to work when we are productive, but we have to arrange it with also the schedule of the team. But of course, this is more flexible rather than having a 9-to-5 classical job. And connected to this is the fact that you can build your own schedule. So, for example, if, like I said before, your brain doesn't collaborate with you until 10 a.m., you can move your schedule. Or if you have some errands to do in the morning or in the afternoon, you can do it and adapt your schedule to it. And thanks to that, you can also have more family time, because, for example, if you can move your schedule a bit in the morning, you can, for example, walk your daughter or your son to school without worry about being in a traffic jam for hurry and run into the office at the morning. And also, maybe you can spend some other time during the day with your family, because maybe you can lunch together with your partner. Okay, that seems beautiful. I'm sold. I want to go. I want to go remote, but I have some doubt, and I need more help because how I can live and stay focused while I'm alone at home working. Well, don't worry, we have some tips and tricks to share, and all these tips and tricks came from my and John experience, so they are real, or at least they worked on us, so this can work also on you. So the first thing, like John said before, is to prefer async communication overall, because it's better and you don't know if your colleague is working in this specific moment. And also you don't know if your colleague can respond you. So for example, is in a ultra focused moment, and if you pick up your phone and call him, you're gonna break its focus. And if you break the focus, then it's more difficult for him to catch up. And also, you don't know if maybe it's working in the nature on during his break, and I will be pissed if someone calls me without telling me while I'm working outside. So always send a text, or if you have to, because it is necessary to have a meeting by voice, always try to schedule the meeting and find a schedule that works for both of the people. And connected to this, if you are doing a meeting, trying to do and have a specific action at the end of it, because if you do an infinite call, an infinite meeting of an hour and so on, and at the end you don't have specific action to perform, you have wasted your time, basically. Another thing that has to stay focused and to stay in the same page is to have a quick daily sync between the team. And this can be done both by voice or message. It depends on your needs. And with this, just a few back and forth by voice or text, and just to say, oh, I'm doing this today. What are you doing? What are you doing? How we can sync between each other. And this really helps. And a thing to take in mind is to fix a certain time frame to do that, because otherwise you will definitely go out of time, because you are chatting about things and with your colleague, and things can go further and beyond a specific time frame. All right. So another important thing in a remote world is to document everything, and for everything I mean the code and every process in the company, because if, for example, you are stuck on something, you cannot tip on the shoulder of your colleague, because maybe your colleague is sleeping because it is located in another time zone, or your colleague is not working in the specific moment. So you need a place where everything is described, and when you have a doubt, you can go to this specific place and find what you need. There are plenty of tools to doing that. At Uniware, we are using Notion, and inside the Notion we have everything. We have documentation of the code. For example, in this screen there is our documentation for a specific Kotlin multi-platform library that we use. Then we have documented all the process for deploying, for hiring, for everything. And then we have also task management inside it. But you are free to use whatever tools you you are comfortable with, there are plenty of tools to do this thing. Another important things for us, for developers, is to have some time of pair programming, because doing pair programming, it's important. And with pair programming, you can find the nested bugs, you can find many things that doesn't work, and also you can grow as a person, as a team member. And to achieve that, there are plenty of tools. You can use a classic share screen with your meeting tool, for example, with Zoom, Google Meet, whatever tool you are using for meeting. Or you can use specific tools like Code with Me for IntelliJ products, or the code sharing for VS Code. It depends on the tools that you are using. But for example, at Uniware, we have always used the classic share screen feature. It works, so we didn't try other solutions. And most important thing, we always you must always have some time for blaming stuff that doesn't work as expected, or things that you are not comfortable with. So, for example, for me, these things are Xcode and JavaScript, and so always blaming something. It's good and helpful for the morale of the team. Okay, so I just told you some tips to stay productive, but productivity is not enough. We need seriously to take care also of our physical and mental health, and this is very important. So some tips that worked for me. The first one is to not use pajama or the same clothes that you are using for sleeping, because the act of changing clothes make your brain understand that you are switching context. So to do that, when you do that, your brain is thinking, oh, okay, I'm switching from sleeping and being cozy in the sofa, in the bed, to be productive. So this act makes you switch. And of course, you don't have to wear a suit to work at home. If you want to do it, because it's okay. You can of course wear whatever you want. But the important thing is not wear the same clothes that you are wearing on the bed. And connected to this, your bed is not your office. So try to not work on the bed. It's okay to do little tasks or little things on the bed. Part of these slides are was built in the bed, but do not pass the entire day of your entire work day sitting in the bed, because it is not good for your mental health and also your physical health. So in order to achieve that, it would be wonderful if you can to find a work spot in your house. It could be a dedicated room, or even a table in your house. So in this way, when you are done with your work, you walk away from that specific spot, and so the brain is thinking, oh, I'm going away from this spot, so I'm not working, I'm doing other thing. Yes, we can trick our brain with these little tricks. And another thing that is connected to what I was saying before is that you have to sit down in a proper way with a comfortable chair, because otherwise your neck and your shoulder will hurt like hell. So try to not be lay in the desk or sit down badly. it happens. I admit that sometimes I sit in a strange and creative way, but I try to be sit properly the most of the time. While being at home alone, it's more difficult to get up. You tend to be to sit more than you should, because, for example, at the office, you can have your colleague that says, "Oh, come on, let's go for a coffee. Let's go for came here to look at this code that is blowing," or stuff like that. And at home, since you are alone, it's more difficult. But try to get up every hour, do a walk, do some stretching or stuff like that. Your electronic gadgets can help you with this. There are usually, if you use a fitness tracker, usually, or a smartwatch, usually it notifies you if you are sitting too much. And it's annoying because you have this kind of notification, and sometimes you yell, or I yell at the smartwatch, don't, stop bothering me. I know that I have to get up, but I keep using this notification because sometimes I can I start go away with the flow and I forgot to get up. And a trick that I'm using to force me to wake up is to not have water on my desk. And not because I could destroy my computer by spilling it down, but because by not having water or a bottle or a glass or something that contains liquid things that you can drink in my desk, I forced to be to wake up and go to the kitchen and spill me something to drink. Yes, because thirstiness wins on laziness, at least on my body. So I use the trick to work basically, and it is working. Another rule that I like to follow is the 20-20 rule. That this rule says that after 20 minutes staring at the screen, you have to look at things 20 feet away for 20 seconds. And I don't follow strictly this rule with the specific numbers, but what I tend to do is moving away my eyes from the screen after working for more than 20-30 minutes. And I simply move my head, I go outside, I watch from the window, I watch whatever things that are not a monitor, basically. And then another trick that it's helpful is changing context for a moment, for an hour, for a period, for helping creativity. So, for example, if I have to design something specific or something difficult, times to times I like to or plug away the Mac from the work desk and go outside, or I pick my iPad with the pencil or a piece of paper and I go in another place of the house or outside in the yard. And if I have to design something, an algorithm, a new screen, a new feature, whatever, this changing of context puts my brain on wheel, and my brain, by seeing different things, my brain start moving better. And this is the thing that I find it workful. And of course can be moving to a different spot of the same house, but could be also that today I'm working from the home of a friend of mine, or today I'm going to visit my colleague in another company and I work for a co-working. This is different moving, but the concept is the same. So that was all for me. Now I give back the word to Gian that is going to share some tips and tricks about company organization specifically.
Yes, thank you. Let me fetch my screen back again. Share. Okay. So basically, Marco told the story about, let's say, how to leverage and properly work remotely for an employee. Now, for the other point of view, the company, the story is, let's say, as interesting as for the employee. And let me tell you this right away. It's interesting also for employees. So if you do not have a company, if you are not in a position of, let's say, management of any kind, it's still interesting. It's still interesting to see the point of view of the company, because let's say that it can get your chances of getting a remote position way higher, because you get the point of view of the company that would be hiring you remotely. Now, the first tip is to use bottom-up management. Now, something that doesn't work in a remote fashion that might work in, let's say, a physical location is top-down management. So having the boss telling people what to do and then controlling those people while they do that. This doesn't work remotely, because a remote organization is inherently distributed. So you need to have, as a company, daily stand-up meeting, what basically was Marco saying before, weekly backlog calls, bi-weekly all hands, OKRs, all these fancy tools that, let's say, management use in order to be sure that the whole team is aligned on what the direction is and how to get there. It's extremely important to be aligned on where the whole ship is going. And if you as an employee are not seeing that in your company, and your company wants to go remote, well, that might raise a red flag. Secondly, community time, yes, but frictionless. So we saw that happening quite some time in the past few months, having companies trying to have this community time and basically imposing it to the team. And the truth is that somebody might not like it, and that's okay. So it's okay to have, let's say, periods where you expect your team members and your employees to show up and just hang out, but it's not the same as doing that in person. I really loved the tweet I saw a few months ago from Dick Costello, the ex-Twitter CEO, and he was basically saying that happy hour on Zoom is basically drinking alone, looking at other people drinking alone. And I mean, you cannot complain against it. Some people love it, some people don't. So please have a community time, but do not impose it. It should be frictionless. Third, and this is crucial, trust your people. And for the employee, find and seek trust, because at the end of the day, there's no way you can control everything. You need to put faith in your team to deliver what you want them to deliver, and I'm 100% convinced that you will get rewarded by this behavior. Now, in terms of how to hire remotely, which is also a pretty nasty topic, well, I have two main tips. The first one is to structure a company culture in a very strict way. So be sure to be able to project your identity worldwide in terms of values, in terms of company identity, in terms of what your company stands for. And on the flip side, if you're an employee and you want to find a job in a remote company, look for the company values, look for the company mission, look for the company vision, because if they are not clearly and well stated, you will soon find that the truth inside of the company is a mess. Because unfortunately, when you work remotely, you really need to work hard on coordinating everyone. And in order to be able to go everyone in the same direction, for sure, you need to have weekly stand-up meetings, you need to have OKRs, you need to, let's say, clearly state the goals, but at the same time, you need to also clearly state the why you're doing what you're doing and the how you're doing what you're doing. So, for instance, just to give an example, for us, Uniware, our company values are dare more, be fast, keep pushing, be human, seek beauty, and stay curious. And you can get who we are from these values. You can get, let's say, the flavor of how we do what we do just by simply reading at these values. And this is super important because you are as strong as the weakest point of your process. The second tip is beware of the legal infrastructure. And this is super, super, super important and always, let's say you don't care as much as you should about this. Trust me, both as a company and as an employee, because one key problem of working remotely is, at the end of the day, paying your taxes. So there are three ways to do that. The first one is through subsidiaries. So basically, if you are a company, let's say that you are a company in the US and you want to hire remotely, you are, I don't know, Firefox, and you want to hire an Android developer in Germany. In order to do that, you need to have Firefox Germany, a subsidiary. And of course, you cannot have, as a company, subsidiaries all over the world. So sometimes, I don't know, you are an Android developer in France, for instance, and there's no such thing as Firefox France. Then what you do? Well, you go freelance. You go the contractor route, and beware that as a company and as an employee, this entails risks, because you cannot, let's say, you do not have social security, you do not have protections when it comes to like firing and so on and so forth. So sometimes employees expect to be treated as employees, and companies expect to hire people as employees. So the freelancing route is not always the best, but sometimes it is. There is a third way that is basically paying a company to do the middleman. So there's no such thing, to go back to the example before, as Firefox France. So what do? You pay a company that is residing in France to hire the employee for you, and you pay the company to do so. Again, pros and cons. I know for sure that many companies in the States, in particular in Silicon Valley, are used to do this. So maybe this is something you should look at, but at the same time, it is very expensive for the company. So do not expect this unless you are being hired for a very senior position, like executive. Finally, and I wanted to close the presentation with this point because I think it tells you a lot about the current state of remote working from the legal point of view. There's crypto. Now, I am no crypto expert. I have no financial, let's say, interest in the crypto space, at least now. But what I'm seeing is that there's this whole movement of people trying to build a tax, fiscal, legal infrastructure by using crypto in order to work remotely. Now, I do not suggest you to go this route just yet. It's quite immature. However, it tells you a lot about how vibrant and emerging and exploding this whole area is in terms of going remote, because for sure, there's a huge demand for both companies and people to work remotely, and states and governments are not keeping up with the whole, let's say, legal infrastructure. So basically, many things are changing, and I truly suggest you to keep a look at how things are evolving, because I'm pretty sure that the future is giving us, will give us some big surprises. And that's it. I would say there's not more that we can add, at least for now.